Hello guys! Today I want to show you a couple of commonly used tips and tricks in Visual Studio so that you will increase your effectiveness while working in this development environment. So let's get started. The first one is fairly straightforward, and this is check the task list. So anytime you type to do and put a semicolon, you fill the so-called task list. You can access it by holding the Control key and pressing W and T. And here you can see all the tasks in the whole solution. Here you can see that it even finds tasks from other projects. So let's move on. We can clear this one out. So the next one is remove and sort users. In the previous video I showed you how to do this and at the same time fix the formatting by pressing Control K and E. Control K and Control E. But you cannot do this until Visual Studio 2019. So this feature was introduced only in this version. So if you are some earlier, or you for some reason do not want to fix the formatting, you still can just clear the users by holding the Control key, pressing R and G. And there you have it. And again, this does not fix formatting, it only clears the users. Oh, actually it does. Actually it does. Oh. Alright, let's move on. So, next we will work for some time with our Solution Explorer. So, sometimes you have so big projects that you can hardly navigate in it. And if you want to restore it to the default view, like here, you have a button here called Collapse All. And after you press it, your project in the Solution Explorer looks just fine. Okay, let's move on. So, oh yeah, so the next tip is concerning the files that you have in the folder of your project, but not included in the project. So, I mean this. You have a button here called Show All Files. If I click it, you see the images is now shown as containing nothing, but actually there is a JPG file there, so I can view it only if I press this button. Here it is. So if I want to quickly include this file in the project, I right click it and click Include in Project. Also you can quickly view it by hovering it. Okay, let's move on. Oh, and by the way, you can just as well exclude it from the project. It won't delete the file. Now let's install a very useful extension for Visual Studio. Let's manage the extensions for this solution, for the whole Visual Studio, I mean. And here type spell checker. Yeah, it's that straightforward. And here we have different spell checkers. Actually, you can use just this one. So just click download. And here you see your changes will be scheduled. The modifications will begin when all Microsoft Visual Studio windows are closed. So let's close it. Yeah. So now it will begin the process of installing the extension automatically, but we need to confirm it. Basically, it's a very useful extension, especially when you avoid using Word or some other word processor to first check what you type and only then insert it in your code. But actually, that is the way that I mostly use. I I directly type everything in code. I I think I'm just accustomed to the idea that it automatically checks the spelling, so I can rely on it. Okay, now it installed the extension and I have started the Visual Studio again. So now when I type spelling, this is a correct word, but if I make a mistake in it, it will be underlined. So there you have it. Okay, let's move on. We have already checked the task list. Again, to open the task list, hold Ctrl, press W and press T. And there you have it. Okay. So, next we will install another useful extension called Add New File. It was advised by Angel6 in one of his videos, but I think he won't mind if I advise it too. So it's the fastest and easiest way to add new files to any project, including files that start with a dot. So I have already installed it. Again, you will have to click the download button here, and it will most likely require you to restart the Visual Studio again, and then you will confirm it and it will be installed. So what does it gives to you? Instead of clicking add new item or class or resource dictionary and so on, you can just hold Shift and press F2. And in this window, you can type any file name, like any file name, and then you put a dot and type the extension of the file that you want. Well, for example, you want a class and you type CS. And there you have it. Let's check what will happen if we add Shift F2. If we add example.xaml, so what will happen? Oh, so it will create a blank XAML file. So basically, it's just I think a quicker way to create files. Alright, so let's move on. Add new file. This is just for taking place. Okay, close all documents. Again, very often when you have a really huge solution full of different classes, view models, controllers, and so on, well, you will end up by something like this. Of course, you could possibly navigate in it by, I don't know, like closing some of them and so on, or using this arrow. But if you want to just start from scratch, like too many of them, I don't need any of them. So right click on any tab and click here, close all documents. Oh, let's save it. And there you have it. But if you want to keep some of them, one of them, again right click and click close all but this, and there you have it. Let's navigate to our code, press F7. Okay, so okay, let's remove it. Let's remove this and this. Oh, and there you have it. It's already checking the spelling, as you see here, and even here. Alright, so again, okay, it's not our business. Use the drop down to view and navigate to items in a file. So this class contains like 15 methods, and in total there are 110 lines in this file. So instead of scrolling every time, and you know that methods are usually bigger than one line, you can use this drop down to navigate between any methods in your file. And I think it also relates to properties and variables. Oh, it's I connect, initialize. Well, in a way. Alright, let's move on. So, okay, let's navigate to method, I don't know, 9. And as you see, we have all of them here sorted alphabetically, which makes it, I think, a little bit easier for us, because as you see, new name precedes any of those method 1, 2, and so on. But here it is sorted alphabetically, which gives you, I think, a quick way to access any of them. Alright, let's move on. Let's remove this. And next, okay. You all know that you can extend your projects by using NuGet packages, like here and here. This is another project. But when you have like dozens of NuGet packages installed and you want to, for instance, update all of them, and there are like I don't know, 5-10 projects in your solution, it's better just to right click your solution and click manage NuGet packages for solution. And what it does, it actually aggregates all installed NuGet packages in all projects and gives you a summary list of what can be updated. And when you have different versions of the same NuGet package and you are using NuGet package for solution, you have here the list that shows actually which version is installed in what project. And it basically says it. Multiple versions are installed. And you can update all of them simultaneously or only those that you need, like here. So this is 0.1, 0.2, and we will update to 0.3. And you see here that it has repeated the same actions twice. Okay, so let's close it and move on. Okay, the next one is more related to UI, but sometimes it also can fix your IntelliSense. Well, in your UI, let's open this one. It often occurs that your UI doesn't represent your XAML in any meaningful way, like at all. Usually when you like inject like other controls in your window using user controls or content presenters. So that can be, and also it also kind of relates to fixing IntelliSense issues, like IntelliSense being completely dead, not responding, like you are on your own And you can easily fix this by going to debug, or rather to build, and pressing the clean solution button. And it cleans your solution, and then you have to build it afterwards. Well, as you know, XAML is not the brightest part of WPF. Like, sometimes it's so dumb, but after all, it well, like 50-50, it can fix your UI, but it will 100% fix your IntelliSense issues. Okay, let's move on. Root element is missing. Oh, this is a blank file. Okay, let's just remove it. No, not rename, delete. Yep. And unlike excluding from project, this actually excluded it and deleted it. So be sure you know the difference. Alright, let's move on. We clean the solution. Next, again, the Solution Explorer. Sometimes when you have like many sub folders, it's well, at some point you no longer care about, for example, the whole solution. For example, you don't need this project at all right now in your Solution Explorer. So you can scope it by pressing any element that you are interested in and selecting scope to this. And as you see, it presents you a sub-view of the whole Solution Explorer. For example, let's scope to this, and there you have it. Okay, so let's move on. And we scoped. And finally, as I mentioned, these comments can be found even in other projects. Like this is another project, as you see. And again, in order to include your comment in this list, you need to always type to do, all capitalized, and a semicolon. Okay, that was it. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope it helped you at least a little bit. Okay, well then, have a nice day.